Okay guys, let's gather around. We're going to get started. I promise everybody we will be out of here at 9:59 or sooner. So, I found this little quote this morning. I thought I'd throw it up there. So if you haven't already read it, your opportunity is past. We've got, this morning we're going to do, before we bring her up, because we might have a few more people that are going to roll in a little late, I'm going to skip this Make-A-Wish presentation, and I want to go, and we'll start right with our monthly sales awards. Oops. So, Diane, don't go anywhere. So, at any rate, we're doing November. I apologize, our meeting's a little bit late. We're supposed to meet last Wednesday, and I had a conflict, so we moved it. Maybe that's part of the reason our participation is a little bit lower. But before we do the November sales awards, I just want to give you a little bit of flavor for what I think is going on. Most of you may have heard me say this already. I was really, really scared, to be honest with you, about the fourth quarter of the year. If you look at sales volume in June and July and August and September, and if you look at the inventory that's been coming in, I'm not talking Fannie or Freddie, I'm just talking inventory generally speaking, it really kind of set up for what looked like a terrible fourth quarter. I mean, it just looked like October, November, December were going to be really, really bad. And not that they've been the best 3 months ever, but October was a little better than I certainly expected it. November, again, not the best month on the planet, but a little bit better than I expected. And frankly, December is really shaping up to be, frankly, a really good month. And I'm talking all 5 offices. I know this doesn't necessarily apply to everybody in the room, so if you've struggled through October, November, December, and are like, I don't know what Lance is talking about, I get that. But just generally, and it's not just us, if you look at our 5 offices, those numbers are better. If you look at all of the numbers across the board for CRMLS, you see improvements in a quarter where I frankly wasn't expecting to see any improvements. I was frankly expecting to see the exact opposite. So for those of you that have stuck it out and have been busting your butt, congratulations, and it's testimony to you. And for November, at least in the Moreno Valley office, that person is Diane. So come on up, and actually not only is Diane the top selling agent, she is also the top listing agent, so you get a double for November. And at any rate, it's amazing what a little bit of hard work and effort will do, and that certainly applies to start on. So. At any rate, we'll see where the first quarter leads us for 2012, or excuse me, for 2013. I will tell you though, it is setting up to look pretty darn good. And you know, I can honestly say I was frankly pretty encouraged for 2012. I went into 2012, January of 2012, thinking this was going to be a pretty good year. Really not anticipating the inventory levels to just drop to almost nothing. And frankly, didn't expect the REO business to go into nothing, expected the short sale business to kind of fill the gap, and obviously that didn't happen. But at any rate, we'll talk a little bit more about that. And now we've got a few more of our latecomers in. I'm going to back up, and I want to bring up, I apologize, I forgot your name already.
Francine.
Francine. I want to bring up Francine. Francine is with Make-A-Wish, and let me set this up here a little bit.
Did you get my letter?
Did you send a letter to Make-A-Wish?
Oh, yeah.
No, that was Santa.
Are you looking for what you wish? Anyway, before
not that kind of wish.
Before I pass this mic to Francine, let me kind of tell you why she's here and what my thought process was. We, as a company, have never done any formal kind of group charity work. Considering we've been in business for 26 years, I think that's kind of pathetic. A pretty sad state for us to say that. So, not that, you know, I've done some stuff individually, and I'm sure some of you have individually, you know, have a charity of your choice, whatever that may be. But for the last 4 or 5 years, I've been going to these NRBA meetings, the National REO Brokers Association meeting. I'm not sure if Francine's familiar with them or not, but bunch of real estate brokers, do a lot of REO stuff. And anyway, they've kind of adopted, so to speak, Make-A-Wish as their charity of choice. So I've been exposed to, I don't know what Francine has for us today, but they've got some pretty powerful presentations to basically kind of, to be honest with you, I think kind of cut your heartstrings and say, hey, this is something you want to get behind. I've seen probably about a dozen of those, or at least a half a dozen of them or so. And it's had the desired effect on me. So at any rate, earlier this year I thought, well, in conjunction with our Christmas party, which by the way, our Christmas party is February 9th. Let's get that. We are going to have, we actually are going to have a little potluck on Friday, right Anna?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to do something on Friday. If you haven't gotten the memo, Friday at noon or so, we're going to bring some food and just kind of do a little casual thing here. But our formal kind of, you know, semi-black tie dinner and awards event, frankly, I screwed up. I didn't book anything in time. The year got away from me, and next thing I know, it was November. We didn't have any venues booked or anything like that, and it was just frankly too late to do anything I wanted to do. So anyway, we're going to do that February 9th. But getting back to Francine at Make-A-Wish, I wanted to kind of, in conjunction with our annual awards thing, be able to kind of do something kind of different, a little bit special. And part of that is to present some checks, or at least a check, to a charity, and see what sort of involvement and participation we can get from the office. So this is kind of my thought. Is and I don't necessarily want this to be a one-time deal. This isn't like we're going to do a little, you know, silent auction and raise a couple $100 or a few $1,000 and say, hey, here you go, thank you very much, you're out. I'd like to try to get some momentum and some legs to this thing and see whether this is something we can kind of continue to do into the future. Now, again, if this isn't your deal, if you're a Wounded Warrior type charity or a, you know, Susan J. Coleman, I get that. You know, I mean, I don't want you to divert any of your other funds and activities to somewhere if you've already got your charity. But this is what I'm thinking. We're going to do a couple things. At our, and we may do multiple things throughout the year, but at the Christmas party or at the awards thing in February, we'll put together some sort of a silent auction type of a thing. I mean, if you've got, you know, I've been to hundreds of these silent auctions and people, you know, raffle off timeshares that they don't use, or I've seen people, you know, I want to sell a Sea-Doo and it's not worth anything, so I'll raffle off a Sea-Doo and someone will give you $200 for a Sea-Doo or whatever. I mean, just whatever. You got some crap in your garage you want to get rid of. And obviously we'll take the proceeds and we'll present them. But frankly, really what I was thinking, and I've presented this in all of the other offices, I've gotten pretty warm response. Keep in mind, whatever we do would be completely voluntary. But I'd like to maybe do something maybe on a per transaction basis. And put that in perspective, we are going to close approximately 900 transactions this year, okay? With all 5 offices, about 900 deals. Francine will tell us here in a minute, I think the average wish to grant a kid's wish is somewhere between $5,000 and $7,000, something like that, between $5,000 and $7,000. So, at any rate, if we just did $10 for every transaction we closed, times 900, that's $9 grand, and we could do a wish or a wish and a half, or maybe 2, depending on what it happens to be. And I think that would be pretty painless for probably most of us. So whether it's $5 per transaction or $10 transaction, or maybe some of you are like, oh heck, I could do 20 or whatever it happens to be. And we're going to come up with some sort of a deal. It'll be voluntary, you guys, it'll be private. No one's going to know who's doing what and how much and all the rest of that sort of stuff. But we'll put something together maybe like that. And then maybe we'll kind of look to do a company dollar matching thing. So, you know, if an agent donates 10, the company will put another 10 on top of that or something. So, anyway, I think it would be pretty painless. I think we're pretty cool. And that's what I want to do. So the actual structure and how we're going to do this, I haven't completely thought it through yet. So at any rate, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to turn this over to Francine, and then we'll kind of follow up on this as the weeks and months go and see what we can do. So if you don't mind being mic'd, because we video this and then we send it over to the other offices. Okay. So you can either hold that, or you can clip it on your lapel, whatever you want to do. So anyway, Francine with Make-A-Wish.
Yay. All right, thank you, Lance.
for that great introduction. My name is Francine Gobert, and first I'd just like to thank you guys for choosing to support Make-A-Wish. We're really excited to have this partnership with Coldwell Banker, and as you mentioned, you'd like to see it kind of continue, so we're hoping for a continued partnership with you guys. So this is very exciting for us. I'd just like to share some basic and brief information about our chapter and what it is we do and how we do it. As he mentioned, we do have some pieces that are very pulling at the heartstrings, and hopefully some of the information I give you does that. But we also have some videos, some great videos on our website of some recent wishes that have been adopted and granted. So Anna and Lance have access to our website, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be sending that information out to you so that you guys can check out those videos. They're pretty powerful. As I mentioned, I represent the local chapter. Make-A-Wish is a national organization, but we do operate locally. Our chapter is Make-A-Wish Orange County and the Inland Empire, so we cover the Orange, Riverside, and San Bernardino counties. So any wish that's granted in this territory, any funds that are donated are coming directly through our chapters, just so that you guys know that. I know sometimes that's really important to companies when they're working in the community. They want to make sure that those dollars are staying in their community, and they are. Our mission is to grant the wishes of children with life-threatening medical conditions to enrich the human experience with hope, strength, and joy. One of the most common misconceptions about our organization is that the wishes that we grant are of children that are dying, and these are their last dying wish, and that can be further from the truth. An eligible child is between the ages of 2.5 and 18, and they've been diagnosed with a condition that puts their life in danger. So a lot of the kids that have had wishes granted, they do go on to live, until their adulthood. But really, we are there at a time to really instill that strength in their families and in that child. If you can imagine, as a parent, or as a family member, to be constantly in and out of hospitals, and as a child to have to go through that it wears and tears on you. And so when we grant their wishes, it's really an opportunity for them to get out of that mindset, for them to be away for a day, to do something different, and really not have to think about their medical treatments. And that's what we're really there for. Hope, strength, and joy when they need it the most. I won't get into too much of our wish process and our history, but just to let you know, the organization actually started back in 1980 in Phoenix, Arizona, where the first wish was granted. Our organization, our local chapter, actually started 3 years later. And so as an organization, we've granted over 200,000 wishes just since that time. And our chapter, we're actually celebrating our 30th anniversary. And in that time, we've been able to grant over 4,500 wishes. And our goal for this next year is to grant 335 wishes just within our fiscal year. And so working with partners like you guys really do help make it happen. And so we're really excited about that. Our wish process, I'll share a little bit. It's a cool fact. We kind of categorize our wishes in 4 categories. I wish to have, I wish to be, I wish to go, and I wish to meet. These are some of the most common wishes that we do have. And so when you guys think about Make-A-Wish, you probably think about like the Disneylands. I wish to go. That's one of our most popular wishes. And we're kind of lucky in our chapter that Disneyland is right in our backyard. So we're able to assist a lot of the other chapters that come into our territory to bring some of the kids from different chapters to Disneyland. It's one of our most popular wishes, so we're able to do that. I wish to meet celebrity wishes, or to meet anyone. One of the cool wishes that I like to share is one of the kids in our chapter actually wished to meet the doctor that saved their life. That's pretty amazing. Some people think of only like the cool and the cool wishes like that. And that is a pretty cool wish, but it's very different. People don't really think about that. I wish to have, we do room redos. Some people asked to, one of our wishes was to have college tuition, to finish college, so we were able to do that. And I wish to be, these are some cool wishes as well. I wish to be a superhero. I wish to be, a basketball player for a day. They're great opportunities for us to come into these kids' lives and make a difference. And as you can imagine, these are great experiences to have, but we've actually found that these are not just great experiences to have, but they're need to have experiences. And as I mentioned, the kids are in and out of the hospital they're going through a lot. So to be able to be taken away from you know, all of that for a day really does make a difference. And our chapter, not just our chapter, but the organization as a whole, has conducted in the last 2 years what we call a WISH impact study, and they found some great statistics that this really is, the experience really is making a difference. A lot of these kids come out and they're saying, when I get better, I'm going to, their families are strengthened. And so it's pretty amazing that we're able to do it, and with supporters like you, it makes it even more amazing that we're able to continue to do what we do. And as you can imagine, there comes a cost with everything, and to make these things happen. And as Lance mentioned, an average wish costs between $5,000 and $7,000. And so we're so grateful to have great partners such as yourselves. We receive local support through large and small businesses. And we also receive a huge support from our volunteers. As a chapter, we have over 400 volunteers that really help us do what we do on a daily basis. You can imagine we only employ 22 people in our chapter, and we have over 400 volunteers. So these are wish granters. These are people that are going out, meeting with the families. They're you know, getting in kind for us. It's pretty amazing. And so just want to say thank you. You guys are going to be a part of something pretty great, and we're just so thankful to have this partnership. I actually have some items that I brought out for Anna to pass out to you guys, so I know she'll probably be distributing soon, but it's a brochure about our chapter if you guys are looking for additional information. And I understand as a part of your fundraising efforts that you guys will probably be using our star sale program, and so what we do is we sell these stars at different increments, 1, 5, or 10, whatever you choose, to make your donation for, and some offices will put them up you know, in their lobbies, or they'll pass them out to the employees so that they can keep. So this will be a part of your fundraising program. And we're also going to have a donation box that'll be right there in the front of reception for customers and for yourselves if you guys are interested in making a donation. And Anna also started a friends and family page. I don't know if she sent the link out, but it's a page on the website where you can make the credit card donation. It's an easy way to donate as well. So again, we're looking forward to the partnership. If you guys have any questions, I'm your main contact through the Inland Empire office, and Anna and Lance have my information. And so thank you and happy holidays.
Does anybody have any questions for Francine before she bugs out? Oh, Anna? What? You know, I don't know if we want to do that. And Francine brought this basket.
Well, thank you, Francine.
You shop now.
Dwayne, there you go. I think
Dwayne's
what
already
we'll
taken
do,
it.
Anna kind of hit this with me just a minute before the meeting. I think rather than kind of auction that off or do something right now, let's maybe make that part of what we're going to do in February. And I want to sit down with Francine and kind of discuss. Who's your counterpart? We've done 2 or 3 of these. I missed the one in Claremont, but who's your counterpart in the Redlands area?
In the Redlands, well, Sig, he's actually one
Sig.
of our board members.
Sig, okay.
So,
At any rate, maybe we'll sit down. And you work out at the Main Street office?
yeah, I do.
My wife just opened her store 2 doors
I know,
down
I
from
saw it, the Normans.
me. You got it.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm going to go over there a lot. We'll sit down and talk.
Okay,
But
awesome.
we'll kind of talk about the best way to be most effective. And unless somebody just wants to write a check and buy the basket for whatever, that's fine. But we'll deal with that later. But Francine did bring that, and this is kind of part of my thought with maybe we do something in February, like a little silent auction kind of a thing. I'm sure you guys have seen these, you know, so again, the unused timeshare that, you know, you've had this timeshare forever, you don't use it, and heck, you know, maybe someone will give you $1,000, Make-A-Wish $1,000 to go use your Cancun timeshare that you haven't used in 5 years. Gift baskets, my silly example of a Sea-Doo you don't want. I mean, I've seen, you know, a bottle of wine, whatever, okay? We'll figure it out. And, you know, my goal, just so you guys know, I'd like to raise 20 grand.
Yeah.
Not necessarily between now and February 9th, but that's kind of my 2013 goal between our 5 offices. If we can't raise 5 G's between, or even not even that, if we can't raise $4,000 between 5 offices in a 12-month period, then,
Sure.
yeah, anyway, I think we can do that.
We'll
So,
have plenty of opportunities throughout the year to engage
Right.
you guys, so we look forward to doing that.
so, anyway, if you guys got any thoughts or suggestions, we'll talk. This isn't going to be a one and done. We're gonna work on this, and a lot more info to come, and Anna will be sending links to websites, and if you got some ideas or some thoughts, or quite honestly, Francine may not want to hear this, but if you got, Ann and I, and I've done a lot of thought about Wounded Warriors program. We may kind of do a double, a double charity kind of a thing. But anyway, we'll talk about it. But anyway, I want to thank Francine for her time, and thanks for coming.
All right,
Merry
thank
Christmas.
you. Merry Christmas.
Okay.
That's it.
Anyway, I think it should be pretty cool. And if you haven't seen any of their presentations, it just tear you apart. Absolutely tear you apart. Okay, what time is it? I promise you guys.
9:22.
Okay, we got enough time. Okay, just kind of our standard boilerplate stuff on here. Take a look at our calendar, you'll know what's going on. Take a look at the portal, you'll know what's going on. We already did our sales awards. Again, congratulations, Diane, for a great year. I didn't actually pull the market data into my PowerPoint, but I'll show you a couple things to think about here real quick. If you are wondering what's going on with the numbers, this is CRMLS. This is supply and demand, really what I'm looking for. This is supply and demand for CRMLS through November. There's two pieces of this chart that I really want you to look at. This is January of 2011. Inventory went up. This is January, February of 2012. Even though it didn't go up a lot, inventory went up, and then of course since February it's been going into the tank. I fully expect inventory levels for 2013 to gradually increase throughout the year. If for no other reason, I don't think they can get any lower. I really don't. I mean, when they're as low as they are, it's pretty hard to get any lower. Even though this is November, I'd be curious to see what the December numbers. By the way, is inventory up ever so slightly in Moreno Valley in December? It is, not a lot, but it's actually up a little bit in December, which is kind of counterintuitive because most people are saying what? Let's wait till after the holidays. So I think when we start to look at this chart come January, I think we're going to start to see inventory levels creep up. Frankly, Dwayne and I have started to see, ever so small, we've started to see some REO assignments. We've received 3 REO, Fannie and Freddie assignments in the last 5 days, which may not sound like a lot, but we're a week away from Christmas. You don't get new REO assignments the week before Christmas. We got a couple assignments the week of Thanksgiving. The Monday, Tuesday, whatever it was, before Thanksgiving, we got assignments from Fannie Mae.
Occupied?
I think we have 1 occupied, a couple 3 vacant, which that's a whole different conversation. We've been talking a while about if the banks are going to foreclose or if they're not going to foreclose.
Right.
Why don't you at least do inspections, which they do, take a look at the properties that are clearly abandoned and vacant, and finish the foreclosure on those. I mean, if you don't want to foreclose on someone who's quote-unquote trying to stay in their house, then okay, fair enough, then put those in a different category. Anyway, it's very interesting. I'm shocked. I would have placed big money that keep in mind, from an REO perspective, and I think Dwayne and I's inventory is a pretty good barometer on where things are going. If you look at June, July, August, and September, new assignments, in theory, summer months, peak time, basically nothing. For all intents and purposes, the assignments were nothing. October, November, December, which in theory is a window of time where you do not expect to see a lot of inventory come to the market. It hasn't been huge amounts, but I think total Fannie and Freddie inventory assignments since October is probably somewhere about 22, 25. It's 3 times more than what we got in the summer months in half the time. So at any rate, it's interesting. Plus, the whole, I think the entire atmosphere and mentality of real estate market has changed for the better. The news is better. The prices are blowing up. Matter of fact, we'll take a look at the next chart. This is CRMLS median price through November. And again, it's not a gigantic increase from September, October, but like we talked about at the last meeting, I'll stick my neck out. I'm 100% sure we will look back. When did prices peak? June 2006. Okay. That was pretty obvious to me by July of 2006, because values pretty much were starting to trend down and there was no indication they were going to recover. I think we will look back either today or a year or 2 or 3 or 4 from now, and it'll be pretty obvious. Property values peaked in June of 2006. Property values hit the floor in February of 2012. 6 years. And a hell of a 6-year ride. But February of 2012, which, and this is CRMLS, but it's the same for all of the Inland Empire, individual city. I frankly think it's going to be the same for the state of California, and I think it'll pretty much be the same for the country. Give or take 6 months of that number, but for us, the floor in values appears to be February of 2012. And given the appetite for buyers, I don't think that's going to change. I think we're going to see property values accelerate. We're going to see people that are taken out of short sales that would have otherwise been short sales that are going to be selling. I think a lot of the sellers that have kind of given up and been beaten down and frankly just kind of checked out of the market are now starting to see, hey, wait a minute, I just saw this house sell and wow, honey, it sold for that and we thought it was worth this. And remember that chart we talked about a couple, 3 months ago? There was a survey that was put out, I have it somewhere, I won't bother to get it. There's a survey that was put out by CAR in October, and it asked buyers and sellers the exact same question. The question was, what do you think property values are going to be doing in the next 12 months? 50% approximately, 50% of the buyers thought property values were going to go up. 0% of the sellers, property owners, thought property values were going to go up. Well, I think a lot of those sellers were just kind of, they've been paralyzed. They've been through 6 years, right, of bad news, and whether they're in default or not, because frankly there's a lot of people out there that are upside down that have been making the mortgage payments for 6 years, all right? So even though we've been focusing on the short sale sellers, there's a lot more sellers, let me rephrase it, there's a lot more property owners that have been upside down but not in default for the last 6 years. As they start to see these numbers go up, and even though this says 13.5%, this 13.5% increase is compared to this bar. This bar is higher than this bar. It's a 21% increase in property values. 21% increase in property values since February.
What is that, Marina Valley?
Marina Valley is almost the same. This is Sierra MLS. I do have Marina Valley though. Oh, you know what? I apologize. I didn't print it, but I think I actually have it up. It might be right. I do. Okay, this is Moreno Valley. Moreno Valley, and again, it says 9.7%, but who's got a calculator real quick?
What do you want?
I want to, let's see if this is still active. Median price in Moreno Valley as of the end of November, is it still alive? Oh, crap. Was 170. Take 170 minus 142, that's 28,000. 28,000, what's the percentage? What percentage of increase is that between 142 and 170? 16, there you go, Michael, the mathematician. Okay, so it's about a 16% increase in property values in Moreno Valley from February, again, here's the same chart, February 2012 to where we're at today. I think that's nothing. I said 4 or 5 months ago we're going to see a 50%. Who heard me say that? I think I said that in June. Well, we're 20% of the way there. And frankly, we're going to be, come June of this year, if these property values are going up another 25%, I'll eat this thing. It's going to happen. It's
Bring the A1.
It's already happening. It's already. Now, could there be some things that are going to change that? Yeah.
Intervention.
I don't know. I just don't see it happen. If there was ever a master plan, a government conspiracy to stabilize property values, keeping inventory off the market to ultimately start to reinflate the real estate value, if that was the plan, well, that appears to possibly be what's working because the inventory has been off the market and the buyer demand, interest rates are still at what? 3.5%? 3.5%, guys. I think Freddie Mac put a thing out this past week that said they anticipate interest rates to stay flat through the middle of the year and then slowly tick up by the end of the year, but stay below.
It doesn't happen. 100%.
No, not 5. Stay below 4. Anybody who's worried about an interest rate that's going to creep up to 3.75 is still a buyer in the market.
We just locked one at 3.25 yesterday.
Yeah, we got 2 or 3.25.
Crazy. So I'm probably more optimistic for next year than I've ever been. And I got to tell you, I was putting on a pretty good game face about 4 or 5 months ago. I was pretty damn scared for fourth quarter of this year. The numbers were just awful. The numbers were absolutely terrible. So, at any rate, get to work. Get to work. This is Moreno Valley Supply and Demand. And again, the first one we showed was CRMLS. Again, if you go back, and again, I just look at this crap till it makes me sick. This is November, December 2010. Inventory started to increase in January, fell off a little bit, and then of course we've been on the slide. But this is January of 2012. We started to see a slight increase in inventory beginning part of last year. That's just the trend. People wait until after the holidays, so go out and get those listings. And quite honestly, if you start educating some of these sellers by letting them know, hey, you probably thought your house was worth 170, but in reality there's one just like it that sold around the block for 205. You think you're going to pull some of these people off the fence? Get some listing inventory, guys. We need listing inventory. So, at any rate, I am extremely encouraged. Frankly, we're past the election. Thank God. We're past the election. Whether your candidate won or not, at this point, I think is irrelevant. We're past the election. People want to go out and engage. I have a quick question for you guys. For those of you that are working with buyers that have had discouraged buyers, they've been writing offers and writing offers and writing offers. Are they checking out, or are they still want to buy houses?
Still want to buy.
They still want to buy. For those of you that have been doing this for a couple, 3 years, in the past, when you've written offers for buyers and written and rejected, have they checked out?
No.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I heard a no, but we've sat in this room and asked that question where buyers have checked out. They checked out in October or maybe September and said, this is frustrating, forget it, I'll wait till after the year, or I'll wait till after the election, or I'll wait till after the holidays. I don't think we've seen buyers check out this fourth quarter, which is one of the reasons I think the fourth quarter has been so good.
My friends already told me it's going to take 6 months. I already know, so let's just go through the process.
Let's just
Right.
keep doing it. Keep doing it.
Like they already come in knowing it's going to take
Right.
a while.
Right. And frankly, given, the people in this room have survived, and you're either a survivor and you've got your budget as low as you can and busting your ass, or maybe you're fortunate enough to have a spouse or somebody who makes some money and you don't have to work that hard. But for whatever reason, you're still in this building, okay? The opportunity to frankly take names and kick ass is right in front of you. Is really right in front of you. So I'm going to say what I said at the beginning of 2012. I think 2013 could be the year. I really think it could be the year. So, and frankly, if things keep doing what they're doing, we could completely repeat the cycle that we went through in 2002, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It's entirely possible that we just go flipping bananas. Who was selling real estate during that window? Who was selling real estate 10 years ago? I don't know how you all did, but that market was freaking hot. Okay, it was hot, and there was a lot of money being made during that. Frankly, it's a lot funner. It's a hell of a lot funner to sell real estate when you've got a market that's just on a tear.
Funnest,
Yeah,
funnier.
yeah. Anyway, anybody got any questions on that? No? Okay, I won't go through, I've got a bunch of news and stuff, so I'm just going to skip over that. I just briefly want to touch base on SkySlope, of course, since we're kind of
Checklist.
still learning. First of all, I want to thank you guys that are using SkySlope. We currently have about 117 transactions that are currently being processed in SkySlope. We have progressively, that number has been going up almost every single day, which means everyone's using it. Actually, not everyone's using it, but we've got probably about 60% adaptation between the 5 offices. So for those of you using it, great. We're still working on the checklist. And the checklists are in there. There's still some work to be done. So for those of you that have kind of given up on the idea of giving me input, don't give up on that. Let me know what needs to be fixed and changed. We're still fine tuning it, but generally speaking, it's working pretty good. Obviously, I didn't spell checklist before. I just did this stuff really quick. A couple of things I need. First of all, I need some input from you. Yes.
I emailed a bunch of stuff. I was freaking out yesterday. Somebody asked me for a bunch of stuff out of a file. I emailed it out of SkySlope, and I swear to God, it was wonderful. I didn't have to look for anything, and it went. It said it's gone, and I blind carbon copied myself to make sure it went.
So it's a client or another agent or whatever?
It was a bank or somebody, and I just sent all of it.
Well, there you go. Couldn't have said it better myself. It's all there. It's available. It's accessible. 24 internet connection, you can send it wherever you want. And for those of you that didn't understand what Diane said, somebody needed something out of a file. So you went into SkySlope, found it, and sent it. Bam, done.
Through SkySlope.
Through SkySlope. Right, didn't have to pull out a hard
Oh my
copy, didn't
God.
have to go to a file cabinet, didn't have to come back to the office, didn't have to say, oh shit, pardon
I
me,
said that.
I
but-
put it in the wrong file. It's in the wrong, oh, it's not there, you know? Yeah,
It's nice too, because once we put everything into SkySlope and we split it, and when you have to upload something in Equator for one of the tasks, it's right there.
Yeah.
It's so easy. My daughter called me last night, she went, I love SkySlope, this is wonderful.
you guys can collect your stipend at the door.
Okay,
I'm
I
telling
get the
you,
basket.
you know, I couldn't agree with you more. All I want to say in regards to those two comments, if you are not experiencing the love and the joy that you've just heard, you need to continue to use it. Because I just don't think you understand the power of this program yet. Or maybe, to be blunt, maybe you haven't done enough transactions to understand what a pain in the butt it is to manage multiple transactions and multiple files and keeping all that stuff straight. Or, to be honest with you, maybe you've never worked in an office, including this one, that's been a little demanding to have clean files. To be blunt, we have not been very demanding to have clean files. We just kind of let you guys run amok. Okay? This does kind of force us to have clean files. But at any rate, a couple quick things on SkySlope, and I need some help. And they kind of go hand in hand. Let's talk about the HUD offers first. Yeah.
On SkySlope on the short sale,
Yes.
there's nowhere, no thing saying bank approval of short sale.
Or SSA.
Send it to me.
Okay.
Send it to me. We can fix that. Okay.
One of
So in other words, you want an item on the checklist that basically says upload the copy of the bank, the B of A approval, or whatever happens to be.
Right.
Sounds reasonable.
I'm not gonna.
Now keep in mind, we'll do that. That's a great idea. That makes perfect sense. We'll add it to the checklist. Keep in mind if there is, oh, but by the way, Diane, if there's something in SkySlope that is not on the checklist, you still upload it. You put in into the
gee, I wondered
Documents
where,
tab,
Lance.
and you put in B of A approval. That's the equivalent of being in the file. It's still there. It's just not necessarily on the checklist. So still put it in there.
Under septic cert, and you write what
Right,
it is.
and that's what I was just going to say. Don't do what Diane has been doing. You've been driving me nuts.
Uh-oh.
Diane wants to load a listing agreement because she didn't open a listing before she
Right.
opened a transaction. So she uploads the listing agreement where the termite report would be,
Right.
and just says, this is the listing agreement. Honestly, I haven't been giving you any heartburn about it because is
I've
the
been putting
listing
them all in
agreement in the
there.
file?
Yes.
Yes, it's just checked
Are all the
off
files
on the
in
wrong
there?
spot on the checklist. So I've just been saying, okay, fine, that's cool. But frankly, I would prefer that if there's not a spot on the checklist for the short sale approval, don't put that on something else. Don't call the short sale approval the buyer's waiver of inspection. Okay, just put it in there.
Is there another? Is there not another?
There's some miscellaneous stuff. We're gonna work through that. But anyway, great suggestions. You guys are doing great. Okay, let me, for the sake of time, because I really have to leave here, and I'm sure you guys don't want a long meeting, so we gotta get out of here in about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Okay, HUD. Who's writing HUD? Okay. If you are not aware, there's only a few of you that raise your hand. If you're not aware of this, when you're writing an offer, and did you write one over the weekend? or-
Yes.
Okay. If you're
That was
not
fun.
aware of this, when you write an offer on the HUD website, the system kind of stinks, to be honest with you. It
More
does
than-
not identify you as the agent who's written the offer. It identifies the office, which in effect is me. Okay. So when your offer gets accepted, you guys have all seen these emails over the years. We don't do a lot of HUDs. I mean, we've probably only done maybe a half a dozen this year, maybe a little bit more. But you guys have probably seen at least 4 or 5 emails, one of them recently, within the last month, that said, hey,
His is yours.
Got a HUD.
who wrote the offer on 123 Main Street? Okay? And the problem is when you write those offers, you don't tell us, we have to find you. And if we can't find you in a timely manner, what happens to your offer? Your accepted offer? It gets crapped on, all right, or kicked out. That's happened a couple times in this office. Totally unacceptable. So this is what I'd like to do to solve it. Very simple. When you write a HUD offer, I want you to put it in SkySlope. You don't have to download anything. If you want to print out a copy of the screenshot of what you did and you want to download that as the offer, that's fine. But just put it in, enter the transaction. How long does it take to enter a transaction? The name, the address, the info?
Yeah.
5 minutes. Okay, I'm with you on that. It takes 5 minutes. Put in that information. You can put a note in there. This is a HUD offer. I don't have any paperwork on it, which, by the way, you should have at least an agency disclosure for your buyer, right? So there should at least be an agency, and frankly, you probably should take print out the actual offer that you're allowed to print out and put that in the file. Irrespective, which, by the way, should we have that as an office? Your offer gets rejected. Should we have a copy of that? Is it possible that that buyer might have a problem later on with you and comes and makes a complaint to the DRE? Says, hey, Diane represented me on 123 Main Street on a HUD offer and it wasn't accepted and yada, yada, yada. Is it possible that DRE could call me and say, hey, we need the file. We need to see the agency relationship between the buyer and Diane, and we'd like to see a copy of that. Well, at any rate, if you do it in SkySlope, we have it. And then frankly, as important, now when I get those emails, we just go in and we type in the address. It's Mr. Leapers. Bingo, found. Super duper easy. Okay? So, basically what I would like all of you to do when you are submitting offers in HUD, take the extra 5 minutes, open a transaction. Now granted, it's open a transaction, it's not accepted yet. I get it. Open a transaction in SkySlope with the address and the basic information. It takes 5 minutes. If your offer ultimately gets rejected, what are you going to do with that transaction? You're going to cancel it. You're going to click cancel, and it's going to say why. You're going to say, my offer was rejected by HUD. All right? And at least we have that information in there. Now, about 2 months ago, we had a similar conversation on a different topic. I think some of you may have a little more heartburn with this one than... First of all, does that sound reasonable on the HUD deals?
Yes.
Okay? Are we buying in on that?
Yeah, all 3 of them.
Okay, great. All right. Now, I want to take that exact same logic and I want to apply it to all offers. So for those of you like, oh, wait a minute. I've written 7, which is frankly nonsense. Be honest. Who has truly written 17 offers for one client? 3 of you. Okay? 4 of you. All right. Now, I know this may be a little problematic, but I really need you to help me with this. If you are writing an offer, multiple offers for the same client, obviously on multiple different properties, hoping to get one accepted, I need you to put those into SkySlope individually. Okay? Now, we talked about doing that as just lumping them under Mr. Jones and then putting Mr. Jones in there, Mr. Jones in there. And I'm still, the jury's still out on that a little bit, but I'm going to tell you what's going on right now. The chances are really good the Department of Real Estate Auditor is going to be in this office sometime in 2013. And you know why they're going to be here? It's because one of us wrote an offer on a property. The offer was rejected. The buyer of that property complained against the agent, which in effect is a complaint against me. DRE has called me and says, let's get to the bottom of it, which is probably a very simple process. Here's the offer, this is what happened, it was rejected, and they go about their business. But guess what? We don't have the offer. I don't have the offer. Just a minute, I got it right to you.
I have it all.
So the fact that I cannot produce a copy of a rejected offer that was written by one of our agents last year is really causing me a lot of heartburn. And frankly, it's probably going to trigger it on it by DRE. So, with that in mind, I know it's a little painful to sit back and upload 17 offers over a period of time, and I know it takes 5 minutes, and maybe it takes 10, because now I'm asking you to upload a copy of the offer, and then 3 days later, when you get the phone call that says your offer was rejected or another one was accepted, now I'm asking you to click the cancel button. I'm asking you to put a reason our offer was rejected because the listing agent called and said they accepted another offer. I really need you to do that. Now, for those of you that find that completely unbearable and impossible, we need to talk. Because I'm either going to make an exception for you, and in other words, I'm going to say, okay, give me the offers, I'll have Anna put them in.
Right.
Or I'm going to give you your real estate license back and you can go work somewhere else. There's 2 options there. Will depend on who you are as to which option you get. So Yes.
On the, when you're looking for the offer, did they go back into their win forms? Because online, I mean, it saves every.
This agent no longer works here.
Only for 14 months.
Oh,
This agent no longer works here.
She just said that wind forms only holds for 14 months.
Yeah, but even the WIN forms doesn't have fully executed
Mm-hmm.
copies, unless it had electronic signatures, which this one didn't. But this agent doesn't work here, and it's a problem.
yeah.
It's a problem. So, and frankly, if we were all disciplined, and I know some of you are like, geez, I don't really want to sit through another meeting like this, because I always
You're
turn
like
in my
the bitch.
files, and my files are clean, and I always turn in every rejected offer, and I play by the rules.
Yep.
And if that's you, then I get it. But that's not the majority of the agents in our 5 offices. The majority of the agents in our 5 offices who write an offer that has been rejected, they take that offer and they throw it in the trash can. Or the majority of our listing agents who have 30 offers on one file, when they turn in those 30, they turn in that closed file, they turn in the accepted one, and those 30 other offers that your seller rejected end up somewhere
No, they're,
else. Maybe in that
Really?
shredding machine. Tom, what you got?
Maybe something like that, because if we do go through a lot, is there a possibility that there could be like rejected offers at skyslope.com in one of these addresses for these copiers? That way we walk over there and just scan it and go straight to that address, and our hands are clean of it and we don't have to worry about it. And we can load five offers in, it goes rejected offers at
That's
Skyslope. Yeah, rather than sitting there doing like 15 offers
That would take a
Different
long
listed,
day.
that's
91.
that works against our time, and that's just a suggestion. I don't know, if it could go, an address in the copy machine and just scan and
This
Actually,
is,
I do like that, actually.
this is the file cabinet.
yeah, all digital, everything. Digital.
Yes.
And it
Who likes
saves.
that idea better?
Well, I have a question about that idea. We have to have a way to identify it by buyer, for seller, and
You can actually. You can
property.
go in the
You'd have to
scanner
name
and you
it.
can add. You can name it right
We
there. from the
basically have to
scanner.
have a naming convention,
Mhm.
which would
Okay.
basically say, 123 Main Street,
Address.
Riverside, California, and we would call it Main, 123 Riverside.
Dash, and then
And that way
nothing.
we could basically
And their
search by
name.
address.
Yeah, and you
Actually,
can
I
do that
really
all
like
from
that
the.
idea.
You can do that all from either one of these scanners.
You know what?
I
I like
like
that, Tom.
that.
Let's,
I don't want to have to do that.
Where's Brian when we need him?
I like that. Let me give some thought to that. And
Thank you.
that may be,
Thank you for
that may be
considering
our
that.
short-term /
Yeah,
long-term
no, we're-
solution. Well, and one of the things, Drew and I have this argument all the time about, these programs are only as good as you guys using them. If you're not gonna use them, they're useless, okay? I cannot sit back and look on Paul's shoulder and say, hey, you wrote 10 offers today, did you submit 10 different transactions in SkySoap? If he only puts 2 of them in,
It's bullshit.
and the other 8 he chooses to, just ignore, I'll have the same problem with DRE a year from now that I have today. The only difference is they'll say, Paul, what happened to those other 8 deals that you wrote? He won't know. So we want to make it as easy as possible. So anything we can do for you guys to frankly, gain compliance would be a win. So that probably sounds like the less painful method.
And I can't remember what the names of the streets are for that 25 guy that I wrote, but I know the guy's name.
Well, I'm talking more probably moving forward than anything else.
No, but I'm saying what we're gonna have to do is the address, but with the name on it too.
The name of what? I don't necessarily need the
person.
client.
The
Don't
client,
need the name of the client. I
But
just
we
need
can't
the-
remember.
well then
Well,
have
the main thing
Tell
we
them
would
the
need
name
is
of
the
the
street
client?
address.
If you
What
don't
I
put the
need to
name
Yeah,
do.
of
the
if
offer, isn't it on there?
Yeah, true.
Okay, we'll
If
try
you
this
don't put
again.
the name of the client,
If
when
we-
DRE comes, how are you gonna find it without searching every single
Well, I'm
one?
going to assume
It'll
when
be
they,
on the
when
contract.
you're scanning
them,
for
yeah.
example,
We
on
scan
this
them into the
particular
computer, now you
file,
gotta find
the
it.
client knows what
You're gonna
property
email
we're
me,
offering.
right?
Right, but with everyone in
No,
the
I think
office,
we're
you could have 20
not speaking
offers
the
on
same
that same
language.
property.
No, we're not.
That's possible, but if,
No, there is a
assuming
problem.
everybody did
It's
it,
a year later.
DRE's going to say, hey, Robin wrote an offer on 123 Main Street in Riverside, do you have the file? If there happens to be 7 offers written on 123 Main Street in Riverside, I can go
That's
through,
all right.
I can go through those.
My
7.
naming convention and all
I can
my
find the
offers,
buyer's name, I can find the
street
one that you
address,
wrote, and we could.
agent's
we could
names,
comply.
buyer's names.
Okay.
I do it with the street address or the client's last name with a dash in between. So I have both.
Well, if you either the property address or the client's name, as long as it goes in the SkySlope, it gets indexed by some kind of parameter. And he can go in his administration portal and he can just say, hey, this address or this name,
Yeah.
it'll bring up everybody, and at least he's only dealing with 10 or maybe 15 that he can identify.
But I kind of like the idea of just, we'll create a transaction called, rejected offers at skyslope.com, an email that
Yeah.
says that. And we'll just have one just massive,
And then you just
or
do a
maybe we'll
search
do
and
it, 2013 rejected
Sure.
offers and
Yes.
2014 rejected offers. Okay, let me give that some thought.
Keep
Actually, I
going.
like that. That's good. All right, see, look at that. See, we do listen every now and then.
No.
Okay, license renewals, escrow, summer's doing great, property management's doing great. I think I'm done. I am done. Anybody got anything else before we take, one day off for Christmas? Nothing? Nothing? Where's that? Oh, we're gonna do the February 9th Christmas / award ceremony. We're doing it. Who's ever been to the Marchfield Museum, the Air Force Museum over at March Air Force Base? Okay, well, I've lived in this town for 20 years. I've never been there up until about a week ago. It's pretty cool. So it's not much to look at, honestly, from the outside. The building just kind of looks just like a warehouse, and there's a bunch of old planes. You guys, I'm sure, have driven by it a million times. Anyway, inside they've got the it's incredible. They got the SR-71 Blackbird, and a bunch of old planes in there, and they've got a little aircraft hangar, which is kind of their little reception room. So it's going to be February 9th. We're not necessarily black tie, but it'll be nice, sit down dinner type stuff, similar to what we've done before. It'll be at the museum, dinner, drinks, food, yada yada yada. One of the nice things, one of the crappy, I love I'm kind of disappointed, to be honest with you, we didn't do the Newport cruise. I just love that. I could do that every year forever. A couple problems with the cruise. Number one is not everybody's into that. Number two, if you go, you're stuck with us.
Yep.
You're stuck with us for the 4 hours.
Yep.
Can't get off the boat. We have a very hard cap of number of people that we can bring. So we've always had a hard cap. We've been, one of the downsides to doing that is, if you notice at our Christmas parties, we don't have a lot of our ancillary affiliated people, title, escrow, friends, family, past clients, and all the rest of that crap. Frankly, because I can't fit them all on the boat. With this, quite honestly, you can invite anybody you want. Okay? Now, they're not necessarily going to be able to feed everybody, but if you wanted to, if Stephen has a relationship with Sally at ABC Title Company, and Stephen wants to invite Sally at ABC Title Company, then Sally can come, okay? And she can bring her husband. I don't care, okay? Or her kids. Or people can drop in for 5 minutes and leave, Or you can show up late and not miss the boat, so to speak. Because we've had that happen every year we've done the boat. There's at least been a couple, 3 people that missed the party because they were stuck in traffic and all the rest of that. So, at any rate, we'll get out all the information on that, and we get as many people as we want. It'll be part. It should be a lot of fun. And frankly, I think we'll probably end up having twice as many people at this as we otherwise would have, just because we don't have any limitations. We can invite the termite guy and this and that and all the rest of that. February 9th, it's a Saturday. Anna, is that a Saturday?
Yeah.
Yes.
February 9th? Saturday. Okay. That's it. Okay.
Merry Christmas.
Well, if I don't see you, Merry Christmas. All right.